Hello.
Awesome. All right. Let's get started. I'll do a quick round of introductions, get everybody to say hi so
Everybody say here
everybody
if
can
you're
put a
here.
voice to all the names, and then we're going to get down to it. So, first off, I'm Avondale or Joe. I'm one of the owners of Noxcrew, and I get to do a lot of weird business development-y type things, uh, some of which end up being merchandising, and that's kind of why I'm here to host this Q&A about the MC Championship trading card game Sky Battle version. Yay! I am joined today by several people. I am joined, first of all, from the Noxcrew side by Epic Landlord. Say hello.
Hello. I'm
Game.
Epic Isaac. I do game design. I make music as well. MCC.
We're also joined by Noctis Mori, community manager. Say hello. Let's be real, Noctis is just babysitting us so I don't get in trouble. We are also joined on the side of CREO Cards by Luke, who is their CEO. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
And also Cloud Fuel.
Hey, folks. Pleasure to be here.
And then also Vintage Beef, who was a key part of making this game happen.
Hello, everybody.
Awesome. So I think we're going to start while everybody's kind of filtering in and posting some questions in chat. We're just going to start with a little bit of story time, followed up by a live demo of what this game is, how it works. You guys are going to see it live in Tabletop Simulator when we're talking about that. And then we're going to move on to just talking about questions that we have from you guys about the card game, and we'll answer them. So yeah, first things first, why did we make a card game? I think is a great topic to start on. I kind of had this weird fever dream. About a year and a half ago, we were talking to some people about some other projects, and somebody just mentioned offhandedly that they were working with somebody else on, who made board games. And I was like, oh, MCC could probably work pretty well as a board game. I don't know what it would take, but it was just that one thought, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had no idea how to make it happen. And at some point in time, I talked about it with Noxite, and I said, hey, look, if I could just figure this out, a way to do it with a Kickstarter or something, do you care if I just go think about that? And he was like, yeah, you'll never do it, and that was the end of it, he thought. Few months after that, we get a DM on, I think it was the Noxcrew Twitter account from a guy named Vintage Beef, who's sitting in this channel.
It was indeed.
And he said, hey, I want to talk. And basically, without giving away too much of what that conversation was, Beef got us in touch with Luke from CREO Cards. We talked about a lot of things, and then a lot of time passed, and we got a lot of help from a lot of people, some of whom are sitting in this channel. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a card game and a board game. Hard to believe it came around the way that it did, but it is I'm so excited about it personally because, not only did it just was a fever dream that turned into what it is now, but when you look at what it is, it's the perfect celebration of MCC. It has a game from MCC that we love. It features creators from MCC who we love, and probably the most important thing to me is it features art from over 50 artists in the Minecraft and MCC community, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, we're gonna look at it today. Some of it, a very work in progress version of it that is playable in Tabletop Simulator. And I think, Luke, this is probably the good time to share your screen, and I'll just start talking through, what the game is, how it works, how you play it, and I'll do that for 5 or 10 minutes, or until I run out of this crazy energy that I have at the top of the call, and then we'll just start answering you guys' questions, which are coming in and piling into our doc as we speak. So yeah, are you able to share?
I am just missing the permission, but I've got Tabletop Simulator spun up and ready to go. Okay, here we go.
Beautiful. So everybody make sure you click so you can see Luke's screen and we'll take a look at it. So what you guys are looking at right now is the tabletop simulator version of the MC Championship trading card game Sky Battle version. This game is currently set up into kind of like a demonstration mode. And so what you're seeing is a 2-player game with 4 creators on each team. And they are sort of in the middle, I would guess about 3 rounds into the game at this point in time. The version that's represented in Tabletop Simulator is the 3D variant of the game, which we'll talk about at some time tonight. And you can see that each team's 4 creators. If you zoom in a little bit, we've got on the team closer to us here, which I believe is the green team, we've got Jojo Solos, we've got Kara Corvus, and then Ollie Rockstar Hype, and also Soup for Eloise. Who put them on the same team? What are we thinking? Facing off against the red team, which is, if we spin around over there, let's see, that is purpled. Feinberg, Major, whoever that guy is, and then whoever that guy is. Good times with Scar. Very cool. So in Sky Battle, you will take turns where you play with your entire team of creators to do what you do in MCC Sky Battle, which is push your way towards the center, get kills, collect loot to, power yourself up, and then try to be the last team standing, which inevitably is one of the ways to win the game. A typical turn in Sky Battle involves your creators moving, placing blocks, looting if they have the opportunity to, and then performing actions and attacks against the other team. So the way that you choose sort of what you're able to do through your abilities is by drawing cards from your deck, which I think is probably worth us taking a look at now. So if you look on the card setup here, you'll see there's actually 2 decks of cards there, the loot deck and the skill card deck. The skill cards enable you to do special moves, a lot of which are representations of moves that people have done in actual MCCs. And then the loot cards are things that you can equip to your character or throw. And a lot of those are things which are references to items from MCC or the greater Noxcrew lore, or things that you could find playing Sky Battle on MCC Island. So basically, we're trying to use the cards to not only allow you to like replicate plays that have actually happened in MCC Sky Battle, but also create brand new things that could happen as well. When your team pushes forward on each move that you do, your team gets are we at 4 or 5 blocks now for your team? Is it 4? One of us will correct
I
me.
think it's 4. Yeah, I think it's
We're
4.
at 4 now. The rules
Yeah,
the
it
rules
is
are
4.
still being tweaked, but we'll talk more about that later. So you get to place 4 blocks per turn, but every creator on your team has a base movement of 5 blocks. So you use the blocks to maneuver your way from island to island, collect the chests, which allows you to draw the loot cards, pick up blocks of TNT if you're able to, which can either be placed and ignited or combined to shoot as TNT cannons, and then in other various ways attack the players on the other team. One of the things that we did manage to bring directly from the game into like the actual board game, which is pretty cool, is actually the shrinking border, which pushes you towards the center as you play the game. There's 2 things that talk about this on the board. The first one is what Luke is highlighting right now with the arrows, which is the color changes on the sky in the map, sort of the skybox in the map. You can see it really well over the top there. There is like a light blue ring, and then a purple, a red, an orange, and then a pink in the middle. The other thing that talks about the border on this board is the thing in the bottom left called the round indicator. So basically, on round 1, everybody takes a turn, and then you move to round 2, which means you move the round indicator over. That also tells you what you need to do to manage your game. So you see that little flame icon. That is the hype icon in the card. You need to earn hype so that you can perform awesome plays. So it works kind of like mana, and it tells you to draw hype every time. There's an example of a card which takes 3 hype to play. Yeah, notated by that symbol there. And then you'll notice as it goes from round 2 to 3 on the round indicator, all of a sudden there's a light blue outline there, and it shows you a -1 number in red there. That is specifically showing you that the outer ring has closed, and any creators who exist in that outer ring will start taking damage. They'll take 1 point of damage for every turn they start in that ring. Then it moves on and on. Eventually it gets, it's round 7 and 8, you're drawing 2 hype, taking 2 damage, and then round 9 plus, you're just stuck in the middle of the map. Yeah, I mean, short of actually playing, I would have to stop being really general with the description and start getting really specific. So I think unless Luke or Cloud or Isaac or Beef, if any of you have any other things you want to say about the gameplay. I guess I technically missed the coins. I should talk about that. So I'll do that first. But yeah, I think if there's anything else we needed to add, when you get a kill in the game, or you survive somebody else dying, or a few other things happen, you earn coins, and the winner of Sky Battle is the team that has the most coins at the end, and they are all tracked with the quantity on those cardboard pieces, so you can flip them over. Those, I don't know if they're cardboard, I shouldn't say that, the play pieces. I will answer one question I just saw in chat. Well, it's super relevant now, and then I'll see if anybody has the ability to or if anybody else has anything they want to input. Somebody asked, do you reckon this game would work with more than 2 teams? You can play this game in as little as 2 people in real life with 1 creator on each team, or technically as high as 8 people in real life with 4 creators on each team. So if you look at the arrows around the board there, those are all starting squares for your team to enter the game. So you could technically play this game with 32 creators on the board. It is absolutely doable. You could play those 32 creators on 8 different teams. You could play 16v16 if you wanted to, and start them spread across the board and just have 2 mega teams to fight in the middle. It's one of my favorite things about this board game is that it is a sandbox that you can use to do whatever you want. And when you get into this and you get your hands dirty with it, you will very quickly understand that the rules are meant to be manipulated and made into what you want the game to be. So yeah, I will stop talking and clear the floor in case anybody else wants to mention things about kind of how to play the game in general, and then we can move into Q&A.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be cool to talk a little bit about the skill cards in a little bit more detail as well. And just before I say that too, I just want to give a huge shout out to the whole Noxcrew team. It was such an awesome experience working with them on this, and it's been so fun to be able to work with this and work with all the creators as well. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. And then also talk about the skill cards. So the skill cards come in 2 types. There are general skill cards that can be used by anyone for the appropriate hype cost. And you'll also note that each skill card has a skill requirement. So this skill card, Razzle Dazzle, for example, has a cost of 3 hype and a combat skill requirement of 6. So that means that anybody with a combat ability of 6 or higher can use this at the standard hype cost, and anybody with a lower hype cost or a lower combat skill than what's required on the card can still use it, but at the cost of additional hype. So for example, Kara Corvus here has a combat skill of 4 for her combat card specifically, so therefore she's 2 shy of the 6 requirement. So she could still play Razzle Dazzle, but it would cost 5 hype to do so. In addition to that, each creator has their own skill card, and those skill cards can be played for the appropriate creator at no hype cost at all. Once again, other creators can still play them, but they will have to pay the hype cost and also pay the difference in hype if they're below the skill requirement level. So there's just some really interesting complexity and mechanics that can come into play there. That's simple to learn, but difficult to master, I guess, is a big guiding philosophy that we're going for in the game design here. And Yeah, just deciding which skill cards to use and when and by whom, it just offers a lot of really unique combinations and replayability as well, as you kind of go through and build your team and build your deck as well, about like what skill cards you want and who can play them and for how much hype.
The player skill cards really fun because they like celebrate a really big play or moment for each creator, very specific to them, and that's just like really helps contextualize the game. Really celebrate every player's achievement.
Cool. Did anybody else have any other like high level gameplay things they wanted to talk about before we get down to it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we've done a lot of play testing, and it's been really fun on my end, at least, to kind of watch the development of this game and going from, just kind of like pie in the sky idea to where it is today. Um, and there's some stuff coming. I don't want to leak anything, but I definitely think that we're at a place now where the game feels really well polished. But the hope is that over the next few weeks, with certain things happening, it'll get even more polished. So it'll be really interesting to see, where exactly this thing ends up. And then certainly once it gets into everybody's hands, I'm really excited to see like where everybody takes this. There's a lot of, we have guidelines and stuff in place, but this game is really a sandbox. So seeing the house rules that everybody kind of adopts and creates their own style of play is going to be really intriguing.
For sure.
I'll also add I'm super excited to see all the different play styles that people will use while playing this game, because I know when we were developing it and I was testing it, my play style was not the best. I think I got knocked out first quite a few times, but I'm learning, I'm adapting, and I think it's going to be exciting to see how people actually play this game. You can play it conservative, you can play it aggressive, you can do ranged attack focused on melee attacks. Like it's really really interesting. The sky is the limit for play styles. I'm excited.
Nice.
You can like build big bunkers and try and shoot from there. Wait for people to come after you. You can like play like how you'd expect someone like Fruit Berries to play, where they're just building around everywhere, dodging attacks and just trying to get multiple attacks in their turn. There's like lots of cool, crazy play styles, and they're really based off of like what you expect to see from Sky Battle, the game, an event.
And not only is it, what are those play styles like, but one of my favorite ways to talk about this game is that we actually made two games, because yes, Sky Battle is the real game, but we also made the other game, which is the Scott's Major Roleplay Simulator, where you get to build your own teams. And so, you finally get to go in, for example, and say, hey, that purple starter deck that you guys made that has JoJo Solos and Purpled on the same team. Who's the other one? Why am I drawing a blank? Is Fruitberries on that team too? Are we insane? Uh, and then Michael McChill.
Sky Battle
like
as well.
why does that team work? Or for example, who would win in a team of 4 Feinbergs versus 4 Fruitberries? Or like how many Fruitberries would it take to beat a team of every other creator in the game? Like these are all scenarios that you could technically run in the sandbox, which is just really goofy, and it makes me really happy. So I think at this point in time, we're going to start just pulling questions out of our Q&A document that our moderation team is hard at work compiling for us. So shout out to them for the nice work. I'm actually going to kind of skip around here, and for whoever is looking at this, who's listening as well, maybe Noctis, if you can like strike through these after we've talked about them, that would help. The first couple of questions I'm going to combine together because I think they're easy and I can also say something really cool. It says, will there be a rule book that will be shared before December 31st? The Learn to Play video is a great introduction to how the system worked, but I'm really curious how the specifics of Sky Battle work. And then the other question is, will there be an online version of the game so people can learn comfortably before playing? So the reason why I combine these two questions is because early next week, and I'm speaking somewhat cryptically because everything's still a little bit up in the air. We are making the tabletop simulator game available to MCC creators, whether they play in whether they're signed up for the TCG or not. So they will be able to live stream this and play it together. We are also hosting a special exclusive announcement right here. You're hearing it first. We are hosting a special tabletop event for the creators in MCC, which we will have more details on hopefully in the next day or two. But you will see games play out with creators on streams before the end of the year, which is awesome. A part of that coming out is that we will have to publish some rules, so we're going to do that hopefully early next week as well. But one thing I like being really specific about when we talk about this stuff is like, the rule books are a suggestion. You can use them if you want. You can also have fun. We really encourage people playing house rules. Some of the craziest games that happened during playtesting were before we realized we had to care about how many blocks we could fit in a box to ship it, and we were just letting people use infinite blocks in the game. The bases that people were building were incredible. So yeah, they're basically do what you like. Yes, the rules will come out. They will be a living, breathing document. We will use things that we've learned from watching the creators play to influence the rules and help make them what they need to be at launch. And then we will also, consider making digital updates to the rules after the game is out to do the things that make the most sense for the game. So that should answer that question. Cool. The next thing I'll pass to Luke. Actually, it says how many cards are in a deck, and I think it's probably worth just talking about, like what deck building actually looks like for this game, because it's not a typical experience with normal TCGs.
Yeah. So, great question. The standard starter deck that comes in both of the game boxes has 52 cards. So that'll be 4 creator cards, 2 rare and 2 common. All of the starter decks and the specific creators within them are listed on the site. And 24 loot cards and 24 skill cards. Yeah, it was an interesting challenge to go through the starter deck building process, both from starting with picking the creators that should be on each team, and then filling out the rest of the decks as well. In terms of creator selection, we tried to theme the decks to have complementary creators involved in the same deck. So, for example, we have one deck that's focused on ranged combat, and therefore all the creators have strengths, which is the text in the card, which all kind of relate to ranged combat. And then similarly, the skill cards and the loot cards also are designed to be cohesive with that particular deck theme. But then in addition to that, the decks are also designed to be divided, because kind of the default way that we've been playtesting is either 1v1 with 2 creators each or 4 people with 2 creators each. It can turn into a really long game if you have 4+ people playing with all 4 creator cards. It's just a lot of actions and turns happening in each round. So we wanted these starter decks to be designed in a way that they could be easily divided. So having 2 of the default skill cards. For example, we have a skill card called Water Bucket, which essentially saves you from falling into the void or prevents you from taking fall damage. And we included 2 of that. So if you do divide the deck, there can be 1 of those water buckets in each. There isn't 2 of every loot card and every skill card, but some of the base ones we did do that. And in general, the decks are designed to be divided all the way down to a single creator. We'll also be including like recommended deck splits. So if you get a starter deck, it has 4 cards. We'll say, hey, if you want to divide this into 2, here's how we would recommend splitting the deck. And in addition to that, we probably won't include this, but it'll also be possible just to play with a single creator. You could do 1v1 with a single creator as well. And you can just further divide the deck from there.
Awesome. I am going to rattle out a couple of quick answers to questions which were on here and we were just able to answer in the background. Will there be a behind the scenes of the cards being printed / made? I think it would be really cool to watch. Luke said, can't guarantee, but we'll try to get this. That sounds cool. And somebody else asking in advance, are there only common and rare rarities of the cards? And Luke said, yes, for now, but other rarities are possible in the future. It's probably also worth mentioning, though, Luke, that some cards can also be signed. And also the collector's edition cards. If you guys, one of you wants to pick up talking about that now, it might be a good time.
Yeah, I can talk about the collector's edition cards a little bit. So this is something that we started with the Hermitcraft TCG last year, and basically was in response to people just wanting to buy a signed card directly from their favorite creator and not needing to try and hunt for it in a booster pack. We balance this by having the collector's edition cards be a alt artwork, so it'll likely have the same overlay of the text on the card itself, but it'll have a unique piece of artwork just to differentiate the signed cards from the original base run and the signed cards in the collector's edition as well. The collector's edition comes sealed in a official CREO plastic slab. We use a process called it's a ultrasonic welding process which permanently seals the slab shut, and those are really fun. They're really cool. People enjoyed those a lot with the Hermitcraft TCG, and a bonus for this game is that because you pick your creators ahead of time and you don't shuffle them into your deck, the collector's edition cards will actually be fully playable with this game, which is very cool. Any game that involves collector's edition cards that requires you to shuffle the cards into a deck obviously wouldn't work because you can't really shuffle a slab into a deck. But because there's no shuffling of the creator cards specifically, you could just put your slab right there and use it in the game itself. So we're very excited about that. There's no confirmation on which creators specifically are doing collector's edition cards just yet. It's an optional thing, and creators have some time to decide on that. That'll also be a separate pre-order, and that is tentatively scheduled for June of next year. So right around when the initial base game box and booster boxes are shipping, that's when we'll do the pre-order for collector's edition cards. So yeah, I think that covers the basics. Happy to answer any other questions about the collector's edition cards specifically, but they should be really cool and have a unique piece of artwork to go along with them, which is awesome.
Very cool. I have a couple of questions which Cloudfield can answer, I think. So I'll just read off a couple of questions right now and then let you at it. Why did you choose to only release 40 creator cards initially, and will there be more creator card drops in the future? And then also, will creators have multiple cards, like multiple cards of one creator, and will they be different rarities?
Yeah, I could definitely take that. So there's actually quite a few cards per creator. So we have 3 cards for each creator. There are a total of 45 creators in the project. So there are 90 creator cards collectively. 45 of those are common creator cards, and then the other 45 are rare creator cards. We also have 45 creator skill cards. We touched on the skill cards earlier. Those are the ones that, allow you to pull off those incredible clutch plays, and you can use as reactive to kind of like stop somebody from pulling off a play against you. So collectively across the 3, that's 135 cards that are creator related. And then as far as when these cards are being revealed, we're actually working with each of the creators to reveal these cards kind of on their own schedule. So we anticipate over the next several days that quite a few more are going to be revealed. I think we're up to about 40 to 50 revealed so far. And we're shooting for, probably upwards of 80 or 90 by the end of the week. So it'll really just kind of depend on each creator. Some want to revealed in Twitch streams, some want to reveal on Twitter or Blue Sky. So we work with them directly to make sure that can happen.
Cool. I have a gigantic set of questions that I'm going to look through, but also, Landlord, if I can point you to the comments in there, there was a question that I thought might be one for you. Just tell me in there if you think it is for you or not. So let me read like
I
5
don't.
questions and then talk about stuff for a while. Will there ever be an expansion to the Sky Battle game? More creator cards, skills, maps, items, stuff like that. How soon can we expect other MCC games to be adapted to board card games in an ideal timeline? And then other people asked, will there be other games rather than just Sky Battle, like a Battle Box board game? And several questions like that. This starts just a gigantic snowball of related questions. So I think it's probably a good thing to talk about now. And Luke, Cloud, Beef, anybody, if you guys want to butt in, just cut me off and talk about it as well. But I think probably where I need to start with this is, we have no shortage of ideas, which is scary. When I mentioned my fever dream at the start of this of what MCC looked like at a tabletop, my fever dream was that you get you and 9 of your best friends, and you guys dedicate an entire, extended weekend to playing a full MCC on the tabletop where you play 8 games, you have the decision dome in between them, and then you have dodge bolt at the end. That was what we started talking with CREO about when the conversation started, and it didn't take very long for us to realize that I was insane to think that that would be possible for launch. That's not to say that it can't be possible eventually. And a lot of these questions on like, can you guys do blank, are things that, like we would love to do them eventually. It's just a matter of, first proving the concept of the game, that people like it, that this is something people actually want. And then going from there. So it's it's a matter of time, and it's also a matter of just success and popularity. As sad as it is, like the world's got to go round, so we need people to like this for us to be able to do the more fun things. But we would love to make more games. We would love to even add maps for Sky Battle, for example. We would also love, for example, to be able to sell things like starter decks, or even like block expansions where you can buy more blocks for the game separately. But there were a ton of complicated logistical problems to doing that at launch. So it's things that we would like to look into in the future, and that includes things as well like a special binder for you to store your MCC TCG cards in. That's something I would really like to get an artist involved in creating, and then find a way to produce stuff like that. On the same topic, will the cards, let's say we do get to make a few more of these games, will the cards be compatible for future games, or will we need to buy new cards? We are designing as forward thinking as you could possibly think, to make sure that we can use as many cards in the future as possible. That doesn't mean that it's going to be possible. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't see the future, but we have made a lot of design choices specifically to be able to use the cards again in the future. Now, when you look at the game that we designed, Luke already mentioned we have like the water bucket card that allows you to save yourself from falling off the map in Sky Battle. That card will be significantly less relevant in like Battle Box, for example, than it is in Sky Battle. So there are alternate applications, but yeah,
it'd almost certainly be banned in Parkour Warrior.
yeah, yeah, yep, hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so those are kind of the challenges for that, but we are doing the best job that we can to make them be future proofable, and I think it's just like a part of the challenge of designing this as a sandbox game, is to see how like broadly we can define things while still making it clear what their relevance is at the current time. Okay, I think I pretty much got everything that was in that. Yeah, Isaac,
Not
did you
sure
see that
about the
question?
No.
Do you want me to just ask it?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Yeah. How did we decide on Sky Battle as the first game?
Well, There was I mean, we went through all the games for quite a while trying to figure out what would be the best game, or perhaps just all the games at once. But I think from quite early on, we wanted to really focus on one game just to really get a really good adaptation of a game. And so, I mean, there's multiple criteria. The first game, it had to be a game which had a balance of all the skills in MCC. So we really wanted a balance between, combat, mobility, and blockwise or teamwork. And Sky Battle made a lot of sense. There were other games that could have worked with that, like Sands of Time probably could have worked pretty well with a balance of everybody's skills. Battle Box could have as well. But when we thought about it more, we thought like Sky Battle would just be a really cool game as a board game, especially with you using the building blocks to move around. And it's just a really good sort of format for us to sort of like explore what an MCC sort of board game, card game looks like, and then sort of build up from that onto other games in the future. Yeah, I think that's it. And
Yeah,
like
it's a solid
Sky
answer.
Battle's like a pretty popular game as well. We thought that you guys would like to play it in a strategic board game version.
Cool. I'm gonna take a super easy question, and then we're gonna move on to something which is I'm gonna make Luke go to his website to show us. So I'll give him a second to do that. Somebody asked, how long does a whole game take to play on average? The longer answer is, it depends on a multitude of factors, like how many players you're playing with and how many creators are on each team. But what we're trying to base it off from is what does it look like if you're playing a 2-player game with 2 creators on each team. That's typically an hour to 90 minutes. It could be a little bit longer the first time or two you play. It could be significantly shorter the more times you play. And then a 2-player game with 4 creators each is probably just pushes it about 30 minutes longer just to maneuver the other creators. If you were to play with significantly more creators than that, it could be a lot longer. And there was an infamous game. Was it the Michael McChill game? Am I making that up? I wasn't there to witness it, but I believe Michael McChill's game ran close to 7 hours under a different rule set than we're currently under right now. Oh, Michael's here. Look at that. Yeah. Wear it with pride, Michael. So yeah, it is possible to go a little crazy if you want to go a little crazy. Cool. So the next question here that I will ask if we can share the CREO Cards website for is what made you decide on the magnetic cubes as opposed to a board game style, which I assume would be 2D playing pieces. And the easy answer here is just they're really cool. So if Luke, if you can go to just like the board games, I want to look at like the 2D versus 3D board game here. Yeah, that's perfect. So there are 2 different variants of the game. We have the 2D version there, which you can see all of the playing pieces for the blocks and the chests, the TNT, stuff like that are all just little 2-dimensional tiles. And that's a picture of the game being played that way. And then if we go to the 3D box, you'll see that those pieces are all actually 3 dimensions. If this was an ideal world where everything was easy, I think it would be pretty safe to say, Luke, that we would have made everything with the 3D cubes. The fact of the matter is practically they are just more expensive to produce and significantly more expensive to ship. And sometimes the just logistical challenges of doing things force your hand on certain decisions. So we developed the game with the 2D tiles in mind, just to make it have a price point that we felt was a lot easier for people to enter the game at if they just wanted to play. the 3D game is the optimal way to play the game, but the 2D version is meant to be a fully playable way into the game at a lower cost.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It really primarily came down to shipping and logistics constraints, and then just wanting it to be a little more approachable. Yeah, having a lower price point so that folks could still play the game, even if the 3D game box price point was a little out of budget. And really what it comes down to when you think about shipping and logistics for e-commerce, there are two main things that come into play. One is the weight of the product, and the second is the volumetric size. When you're working with shipping carriers, they take the larger of the two, of course, and they so whatever your volumetric dimensional weight is versus your actual physical weight, and they take the larger of the two to calculate the shipping cost. So there is kind of a double whammy there with the blocks in that they are pretty heavy because they have a magnet inside each one, multiple magnets, and they're also pretty volumetrically large as well. So it was kind of the perfect storm to create something that required a bit of a higher price point in order to actually ship it to your door. So that was exactly like Joe said, the primary reason behind that. And that fed into some of the design decisions as well. So as you can see here, the 2D pieces have a 2 on one side and a 1 on the other side. If I can find one that actually shows. Oh, yeah. So you can see right here in the middle, this red square has a 2 versus the other side is blank. So the 2 is to indicate that you've built too high so that this center creator piece would be within cover because they're covered by the blocks. So that's also why for the default version of the 3D game box, we've implemented a 2-block build height, and that's built into the default set of rules. But once again, that's probably one of the easiest things to implement your own house rules is just to get rid of the build limit for the 3D version specifically. Yeah, and there's all sorts of interesting things that can come out of that too. And I almost feel like some D&D vibes when I play this a little bit, and I think that contributes to part of the reason why there was that lengthy playtesting session with Michael McChill. And yeah, you can kind of really get into it. And I'm super into Baldur's Gate right now. I've been playing way too much Baldur's Gate 3 nights and weekends. So I just love the fact that it has like some of that vibe while you're playing it, and that you can you can make it your own, and you can kind of role play a little bit while you're playing too, if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, and a few keen-eyed attendees here have noticed on these product pages that there is an MCC coin, and they've asked if that comes with the game. It does. We have this is the first commercially available gold MCC coin, which was a big deal in the background. Let me just tell you that. It is smaller than the normal MCC winners coins to make it legal by our brand, but it does come in every box. And we are actually going to recommend, this is my idea, and I think it's evil, so I'm just telling you all now, but in the rules, we're going to recommend that whoever wins the game keeps the coin. And if you have to play it again to win your coin back from your friends. So up to you whether you do it or not, but it sounds like a fun way to add some stakes into your game. So yeah, there we go. Luke, does it come with a case, or is it fitted into the box? I actually don't know the answer to that.
It'll likely be in like a specific foam cutout within the box specifically. So there'll be a safe spot to keep it in the box directly.
Cool. Let's see. Most of the questions I have left on here are kind of like a little bit more specific and end up like with less, like they're shorter answers. So I think this would be a good time to just, we've got 15 minutes left in our hour. A good time for like last call for questions that you want to hear us talk for a long time about. And then we have some other things that we're happy to talk about as well. We're going to be here the whole hour no matter what. Next thing I'll look at here is, will the Sky Battle game ever be available for purchase after December 31st, or is this one going to be strictly pre-order? I think Luke or Cloud, one of you guys, is probably the best to take that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be some pre-order exclusives, which is the signed cards in the booster boxes. So all the creators, or 44 out of the 45 creators, excluding Technoblade, will be signing cards to be randomly inserted into the booster boxes that you can just pull out of a random booster pack. So those are a pre-order exclusive, but we are hoping and planning on having the game available for purchase to ship directly from stock after the pre-order ends as well, and that'll start at the time of fulfillment, which is currently scheduled for June 2025. That's kind of a big picture goal for us at CREO as well. Is, predominantly we operate off of the pre-order model, but it's a goal of ours is to make more of our products readily available and in stock so that you can get access to them whenever works best for you.
And I get to be a little bit more blunt than Luke and say the quiet part out loud. If this is a game that you guys like, I know pre-orders are scary when it comes to video games, right? This is a pre-order for a product that's going to be available hopefully for a long time. And if it's something that you guys like and you want to see more games be made, the better pre-order numbers do help our ability to make more games. So yeah, keep that in mind. There is absolutely no pressure. At the end of the day, I want to be involved in making cool things that you guys will be like, wow, that's cool. I want that. There's no pressure from us to be involved with anything. Um, we just want to make cool stuff. And I will also say, we had the Technoblade mention. There's some Techno love in chat. I have seen the Technoblade card. It is jaw dropping.
Work of art.
I don't know if there's a better way to explain it than that. And I believe that you all will get to see it very soon. Quick and easy question for Luke, if you have it off the top of your head. What are the dimensions of the cards?
Yes, 63 by 88 is correct. Millimeters, that is, obviously.
Awesome. Then somebody else asked, will there be a way to obtain the jumbo cards that creators have shown off? This is a great question. We printed the original jumbo cards. By we, I really just mean Luke. Printed the original jumbo cards for the art reveal at TwitchCon San Diego, and then we also sent out jumbo cards to 10 creators as a part of the game announcement video that came out earlier this week. I got to do some arts and crafts with my wife. It was really fun. We bought a stamp set and stamped top secret on all the envelopes. But they actually got some extra jumbo cards sent to them that they can do whatever they want with. As of right now, we don't have any plans to uh like, directly commercialize the jumbo cards, but I could probably make a relatively strong guess, Luke, that given how they've been received, it would be pretty likely that, we would tie them into special events in the future when we had opportunities to.
Yeah, I think so too. They're kind of in a separate manufacturing process for us, I'll say, in that, we aren't really set up to produce those at scale in the same way that we are for collector's edition cards, for example. It's also tricky because they are obviously a non-standard size, so tricky to protect them, tricky to ship them, etc. But for promotional purposes and for like future events and showing off new cards, definitely something that we expect to see again, I would say.
Yep. And then also worth mentioning alongside the jumbo cards is, a few of you in chat may have been in San Diego and may have received a Mega Chicken card. It's kind of just a neat little, history of the game story. But when we printed those cards, they actually were not playable in the rule set of the game that we were working off from. And we made a change between when we printed them and when we gave them out that actually makes them playable. So the way that the stats work on the card, I don't know if we mentioned it directly before, Luke. Maybe if you just pull up a card somewhere on the website, we can look at the stats on there. I know you had mentioned the names of them earlier. The green one on the left is Blockwise. which is just block placing and breaking, and block sensibility. And then the blue arrow is movement. The red swords are combat. The way that those numbers impact the game is there's two different ways. The first way is sometimes a skill card will require you to have a certain skill requirement to be able to play it without spending extra hype. So that's way one that they're involved. And then the other thing is sometimes cards will have you roll for doing things. And so if you get told with 5-up, for example, to roll combat, your combat stat is 7, you would roll the d10 included in the game, and it would need to come up as a 7 or lower to be able to succeed that die roll. If you had to roll blockwise, it would be an 8 or lower. And so the Mega Chicken has stats in blockwise, mobility, and combat of 11. And all that means is it can play any skill card with no increase in hype cost, and it can never fail a dice roll. So yeah, that's the Mega Chicken card, TwitchCon exclusive from last year. And somebody asked in chat how many games my kid has won. He has not played this game yet, but he does have his own Mega Chicken card. And whenever I talk about the card game, he goes and picks it up wherever he hit it the last time and shows it to us, and then hides it somewhere else, and I never know where it is. He will turn 3 in January, and I look forward to playing this game with him in 6 to 11 business years. Cool. We have knocked out all of the questions in our deck here. I will just take this one at the bottom here. It says, will the board game work if I were to play with someone through Discord? Boy, that's a question. If you could play a physical game with cameras, and it would be easier if the other person had their cards in their possession and then you were just building for them. It's technically possible. If you had all the cards, technically you have a hand which shouldn't be seen by the other player, and that you would have to hide. So you would have to kind of like draw it in front of their camera and then set it down. But yeah, technically possible in that
Can
way.
do it, yeah.
And a few people have asked, is it available on Tabletop Simulator for the public? To be determined at this point in time. There are some hurdles that we're still working out in the back end, but we are definitely going to make it available for all the MCC players next week, so that everybody can at least see it be played.
I'd like to ask the people here, what other games would you like to see a board game adaptation of from MCC? You'd be most excited to see.
Meltdown could be so cool.
Fishing.
Fishing.
That's not an MCC.
Fishing.
Not an MCC game.
Not an MCC game yet.
Not yet. Well, maybe.
Lots of sands of time.
Yeah, personally would love to see Sands of Time. That would be so cool.
I would too. I wonder if it could also be made a single player experience as well. That would be quite fun.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Let's get to work.
It comes with a real sand timer that you have to.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have 6 minutes left here. Let's either pick up some questions from chat as they come through, or let's just tell some stories. I will open the floor to us for stories, but I have one if nobody has one.
Just I'll jump in quickly. I saw a question earlier in the chat. Somebody mentioned or was asking what some of the hardest cards were to design. There were a lot that were tricky for sure, and we kind of used the artwork as the main inspiration. The process for designing the cards started with the creators working with an artist, drafting the theme and picking a moment or history from a particular sky battle that they kind of want to represent on their card, and then designing the strength on the card, which is the text description, to match the artwork. One of the things that we spent a lot of time thinking about and working through was how to handle TNT. There's a lot of TNT themed cards. People like their TNT cannons and explosion related effects. And just developing the timing of the TNT and like when it should explode and how to resolve TNT explosions was something that was really tricky. And even, determining the radius and which blocks are destroyed and how much damage it does, and depending on where you're standing, etc. So that was something I just wanted to call out. That was kind of a cool thing to work through, but also tricky. Originally we had a rule set at one point where we had the TNT not exploding until everyone had a chance to move. So it would be round based instead of turn based, a round being everybody playing once versus a turn is just one person playing. And that caused a lot of problems because anytime you have like delayed effects happening between turns, it gets really tricky to like keep track of which TNT was ignited and when and by whom and who it's going to impact at the end. So now we have all explosions, and essentially all encounters resolve on a turn by turn basis rather than things carrying over throughout a round. So that was just one anecdotal interesting thing that we had to work through from a game design perspective.
It was either that or implement the Dungeon Master. So,
yes.
Really cool with the TNT as well. They just chain react off of each other through the whole map. Like you can potentially like just do so much damage with the TNT. And it's like placing the TNT cannons in Sky Battle. All you need is 2 TNT and then you're very long range explosion.
somebody
Yeah,
asked
absolutely.
somebody asked in chat, surely we get more behind the scenes emails, right, Luke? And this is my opportunity to just blatantly tell everybody, go sign up for CREO's mailing list. Like, Luke literally writes his emails himself and he shares behind the scenes stuff on there, and it's super interesting. And he told me he was going to do it, and now I'm telling you guys he told me that, so now he has to do it. So
Public accountability.
everybody sign up for that. They're
Yeah.
legit.
Right at the bottom of the site here, you can sign up. And then if you're curious, I've posted all the previous blog posts, I guess I'm calling them, about some other behind the scenes of other projects that we've worked on in the past. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. Sometimes they're a bit long. I try and keep them as short as possible, but I have a lot to say, turns out, when I start writing.
So I actually just want to jump in real quick and talk about the artists. They're very much the unsung heroes of this project. We had the opportunity to work with over 50 incredible artists from the greater like Minecraft YouTube community. And it was, I mean, that was kind of my main focus for this project is managing all the artwork and working with the creators and the artists. And it has been such an incredible pleasure to watch just all of these cards go from like, I wonder what I could do. Here's an idea to all the cards that we see now. Like I could talk about each one of these cards for hours, but I won't bore you. I'll just say that in terms of our process, we always try to make it as simple as possible, and we also try to leave as much kind of like power to the creators and the artists. So it's really straightforward. We go to each creator and we say, hey, do you have a list of artists that you'd like to work with? If not, we can provide, the artists that we've worked with in the past. And then we just kind of work with each one to determine who they want to go with. Some creators want to work with a specific artist. Some creators want to work with multiple artists. Some have no idea and they just want us to suggest things. And so we'll ask them like, hey, what do you think about these different styles? And we just kind of work with each creator to figure out what's going to work best for them. But yeah, I mean, we've had an incredible experience working with all these folks. There's a lot of really cool behind the scenes stuff. I don't want to put us on the hook entirely, but I think it'd be awesome if we could do a behind the scenes email that talks a little bit about the artwork, and shows some of the behind the scenes sketches and time lapses that have been done. So that's something that we'll definitely shoot for hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
I'm about to make a huge mistakes and start naming names, but there are a couple of artists who are particularly interesting that they worked on this project. One of them is Skyo from the Noxcrew side. Louise had a huge part in this. Was effectively like the art director for branding from our side, and has in some way influenced what you see on every card. It is also very neat that I can mention Violet has also done cards for this game and has done Snifferish's card, which was just debuted a couple of hours ago. So, you know, Violet did the vast majority of MCC's art for the first 4.5 years that it was out. She no longer works for Noxcrew, but is still a good friend. And then the last one I'll mention, which is particularly interesting, and this is where I get dangerous that I'm missing somebody. DC was a MCC Rising 3 contestant and was my nemesis in Parkour Warrior during training, and CC is doing several cards for the game as well. So it's just cool to see the you know, kind of how the community comes full circle from time to time. Time's up. Stop yapping. There's the door. we're still having fun. Cool. So many of these cards are so cool, and I just because of kind of the nature of my job, there were times where I was really involved in seeing everything, and then other times where I was not paying attention to this for a couple of weeks and then back on. And over the past few weeks, as we've been reviewing cards and I've been seeing everything, I just keep going, "Oh, have you guys seen that? Oh, have you seen this one?" And it's just every time you think you have a favorite card, you see a different card, which is your new favorite. If you bought 320 cards, is that enough to possibly get all of them, or should you buy more? Have we announced the total number of cards in the game, or are we going to?
Yeah, right now it's sitting at close to 250, not including the hollow variants. But that's a lot of cards that you've got already. So I definitely think that that's a solid start. And you know, the one of the core comments or components of a TCG is the trading, and that's one of the best parts. Honestly, is getting involved in the trading, and we have a really active community in our CREO Discord and a infrastructure set up there to post about which cards you're looking for and which cards you have duplicates of that you're willing to trade away. And yeah, that's a really cool part of it too. So I definitely think that with 320 cards, you'll have lots to trade with and lots to collect.
I only live about a 2-hour drive away from where they hold the PAX in Boston, and I mean, if somebody tells me there's a MCC TCG trading meetup at PAX East, I'm going. Like, that's all it takes to get me there.
Yeah, the convention trading will be awesome.
Can I smuggle you a Holo Techno? Yeah, I just have one right here. No, I don't have any. I will. I wanted to tell a story about just actually playing the game, and I've told it at a few different places before, but I just want to have it immortalized in this video. I was undefeated at the game in games that we finished. I had like 3 straight wins in a row. There was a few games that we played and kind of petered out in the middle, but I was feeling pretty good at the game. The week before TwitchCon San Diego, we invited JoJo Solos in to play because she was the one talking about the game on stage. And we wanted to make sure she knew what the game was like. And she destroyed me, absolutely smoked me. And that was, I think, my only ever loss in the game so far. And I'm just real sad about it. But it's just proof that some people are just built different, you know? She's so yeah. Yeah, she did. What if it's in the Netherlands? Would you also go there? Wink, wink. I mean, uh, we were very happy with how Twitch Rivals went this year. Twitch Rivals was very happy with how Twitch Rivals went this year. At this point in time, we don't know if we're going next year or not, but nobody was unhappy. And if we're doing one, I will be there. Cool. Anybody else have stories or last minute questions?
I don't think so. I think just want to say thank you to everybody already for supporting the project, for those who have, and really trying to, make this is like a dream for us to work on. To be totally honest, I've been a fan of Noxcrew and the MCC for a long time, and all the creators as well, of course, and really just appreciate everybody supporting the project. And I can't wait for people to actually get it in their hands and start playing it, and just seeing all like the crazy deck building combinations that are going to happen, and and the trading and all the good parts about TCGs. So yeah, I'm excited to get it all in your hands. So we're going to be hard at work manufacturing this come first thing January.
Awesome. Let me just wrap us up then with a significant amount of plugging. I guess, first of all, thanks to the entire team at Noxcrew and also the entire team at CREO for all the hard work that we've put in, building this game in the back end. Specific thanks to Epic Landlord, Luke, Cloud Fuel, Vintage Beef, and also Noctis for coming in and helping out today as well. Huge shout out to the creators who are involved in this game. Even bigger shout out to the artists that make it look as great as it does. It is just such a celebration of that community. In other pluggy news, CREOCards.com/MCC is where you go to see all of this stuff. If you're not on the mailing list, get on the mailing list. If you haven't pre-ordered yet, click around and consider it. It's a great time to get involved. It gets you access to the signed cards if you buy booster boxes now. So it gives you the opportunity to do that. That's pretty cool. I should also say, if you have further questions, feel free to ask them in a place where our moderation team can see them. They're pretty well armed for this stuff. They also have direct access to people like me who can get more answers. Or I didn't say ping me on Discord, because sometimes people don't like when people ping me on Discord, but you can ping me on the social media platform of your choosing, or wherever, if you have more specific questions. I'm happy to answer them there when I get a chance. And yeah, stay tuned to those to our normal social channels for more info about things like the Tabletop Simulator Creator event, which we will hopefully have more news about very soon. And then the other things I'll plug really quickly. MCC Party 2 is in 2 days. If you're here, you will also want to be there. It's like literally 2 days from this minute right now, we'll be in the Decision Dome, which is pretty cool. If you're here, you will want to be there. Get your card games, and you're all dismissed to go back to your fishing on MCC Island. Fishing. Everybody say fish. All right, we're done. Thanks, everybody.
Hooray.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good weekend of fishing. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm leaving.